VGC is supported by Patreon. Check out patreon.com/videogameschronicle for more podcasts, ad-free browsing, and extra content. Thank you for your support. Like Lol Lisa, she raided my house. It's VGC the Video Game Podcast, episode 164, with me, Jordan Midler, Chris Scullion, Andy Robinson, and Alex Donaldson. This week, we've been yassified by NVIDIA, but first, how are we doing? Alex Donaldson, how is the dole queue going?
Good, yeah. I'm having fun. I was saying to you before we started, right? Like, I'm working on something, but we're very much in the design and coding and stuff like that phase of it. And because of that, and because I'm in charge of all that stuff, but I'm not doing any of that stuff. So I'm mostly fielding emails, answering questions, and not doing much else. So it's been great because we've had lovely weather. I don't know about up there, but we've had lovely weather here in the Midlands. So I've been out in the garden and doing DIY and obviously I've only just got back from GDC as well. So maybe we'll chat a little bit about that show. But so I'm good. I'm just sort of if this is what being retired feels like, it's great.
Hell yeah!
But I am doing a bit of work.
It's been okay up here. It's been a bit windy, but it's been bright in the Kingdom of Scotland. Speaking of the Kingdom of Scotland, Chris Scullion, how are you?
I'm good. I thought you were going to say speaking of a bit windy.
Wait, come on now. Blue humour already? A bit of blue for the dads. Come on.
Exactly. We should have put a wee parental warning at the start.
Yeah.
No, I'm good. I'm just very tired. It's been a week. But, that's all right. It's Friday.
Could you please regale us with what your t-shirt is? I can't quite see it. Is it a rubber duck for Final Fantasy X or something like that? What's the situation?
No, it's an artistic silhouette of like a kind of Final Fantasy VIII type.
8, yes. It's called Scar. I see the scar.
I see.
Yeah.
Oh,
I think you have to see it in its full like splendor to actually appreciate it more.
Yeah, we do need floor to ceiling cameras for this podcast. When we eventually build the VGC studio, I would like multiple different angles so we can do fit checks at any time. A little Final Fantasy 8, Ben Starr, friend of the show, you should send him a picture of that. It'll be absolute. We still get comments basically every day on that YouTube video of him talking about why they'll never remake 8, being like, I'm not sure what this guy knows about Final Fantasy. Like, mate, that says Johnny Final Fantasy.
I have said it to people at Square. They should contract Sandfall to remake that game. Yeah. That's that one specifically, but hey ho.
Yeah, if that happens, Ben's head would end up on Mars. Speaking of Mars, Andy, King of Mars, how you doing?
I'm all right. I'm a little bit worse for wear today because I went to the Assassin's Creed Shadows 1 year anniversary.
Woo!
It's important to celebrate. It's important to celebrate the milestone. Oh,
he's literally for the sake of the audio listeners. He literally. I thought it was a T-shirt for a minute. I thought it was mortifying.
Get that shit.
You don't know. You haven't lived until you've got the Assassin's Creed Shadows 1 year anniversary.
A baseball cap. That's 1 year anniversary is.
And when I'm wearing my Assassin's Creed Shadows 1 year anniversary cap, I'll be writing in my Assassin's Creed 1 year anniversary note.
You can't be wearing it that or writing in that because that's your pension there. That goes on eBay. That's going to pay the mortgage
My
off.
pension is the signed Assassin's Creed Shadows 1 year anniversary poster signed by Yasuki himself.
Yeah, there it is.
1 year. What are they going to do for a 2 year anniversary?
We can't even tell you. It's going to be unbelievable. We're actually doing a week of podcasts celebrating the 2 year anniversary of Assassin's Creed Shadows. Look forward to that. You have fun last night colonising the British Museum, Andy. Did you steal anything?
it was at the British Museum because they've got like a samurai exhibition on right now. Super fascinating. Like it's still like. For me, like looking at 600-year-old like samurai armor is like looking into space, like and trying to like I just cannot wrap my head around that this is a 600-year-old helmet or whatever. But it's so. I'll tell you, shut up. I know you didn't even tell us what kind of website you were building.
I know.
It might be about 600-year-old helmets. You never know.
Wow, yeah.
That is most games media these days, to be fair.
Yeah. Have you ever been to Osaka Castle, Andy?
Yeah, it's like a fucking Tesco's, isn't it?
No.
Osaka Castle is brand new.
Oh yeah, but the exhibition is really good. I thought.
I'm sure it's well good. It's like they built it yesterday.
It's like
all the armor and stuff. It's really good, and they've got those weird diorama things where you go up and press the button, and then it is like holograms acting out what happened next to the armor that someone was stabbed in. It's really good. It's really good. I highly recommend it for any listeners going to Japan.
I'll probably go there. I'm staying like literally across from it when I go in the summer. So I might go back in, but it's one of those where it's like thing is it turns out when you build buildings out of wood, they don't last.
Yeah.
Who knew?
Apparently those holograms were built by Nobunaga himself.
He was an ambitious fella.
But it's quite.
Very ambitious.
It's quite well. It's well curated. This time, if you, I think it's on until May. If you want to go and see it, the Assassin's Creed Shadows is like some small part of it. And the fascinating thing about how the exhibition, from my point, was how they curate it from like these different eras. That there's like the warrior era, and then there's like this period of peace where they're all just like pouring each other tea and stuff. You know, it's like the samurai robe, like the tea robe, and then there's like the last era is just like the weeb era, where it's like here's all the stuff that looks like samurai. Like there's one of War Prowse's Darth Vader suits.
I was very confused looking at your Instagram story, Blue AI, and it was like samurai, Darth Vader. There he is, but obviously the inspiration is clear.
But there were people there like there's a bit of a theme this week, isn't it? Is like influencers slagging off journalists, etc. So I'll just get my influencer one in. It was quite astounding that there were a few influencers there like, oh, I never knew that Darth Vader was inspired by samurais. He's got a bloody samurai helmet, you whopper.
How thick can you be? Jesus.
Speaking of thick people, this morning at 8:00, I went to my local Pound Basket, which is a Johnston establishment, and I don't mind putting them on blast now because it's been compromised. I rock up and I see a load of people queuing, and I'm like, surely not, because this is the banker. This is the absolute no one ever queues, no one ever knows this is here. Not only is there people queuing, there's people on the phone going, no, get down here, you can jump into the queue. That's red rag to a bull stuff. As soon as I started hearing that, I was like, if someone comes in and tries to stand in front of me, I'm going to say something. Thankfully, I was in enough time. This poor boss man did not know what was going on. He just looked utterly panicked as all these people snaked into his shop. And the first absolute gentleman went, just one of each, mate. And the guy was like, well, you can have one box of any of the boxes, you can have one. And he goes, no, they're all different SKUs, so that'll be one of all of them. And the guy behind the counter was just like, no. And you could see this guy getting more and more upset. And he was like, well, surely Pokemon lets you do one pair. And the guy behind the desk was just like, this isn't a Pokemon shop. This is a Pound Basket. Like, I run that shop. I'm just saying one pair. Then eventually it cycled through, and I just went up and I was like, yeah, can I get my box, please? Gave me it and walked away. The Pokemon hobby has truly never been more cooked. There was people in high-vis jackets walking in, out of Greg's, into Pound Basket going, yeah, I'll get Pokemon. I was like, fucking, it's so unbelievably over. So I'm sad.
This is why I find most Pokemon fans quite detestable.
They aren't Pokemon fans. Yeah. They aren't Pokemon fans.
In quotes there. Pokemon
yeah, they
fans.
are people that know that Pokemon cards are worth... They're not even worth as much money as they think. They have no concept of what's actually worth money. Like, if they went and sold the box that they got this morning, they'd make like a 10 quid profit. Is that worth all the aggro? Absolutely not.
A more positive story though. I'm still playing in my house. There's 3 people still playing Pokopia, loving it.
Proper Pokemon fans.
I think it's my favorite Pokemon game since GBA.
It's class.
I thought you were going to say ever. I was going to say I wouldn't go that far, but it's definitely the best spin-off they've ever done.
Oh yeah, easily.
And it's definitely better than any of the recent main games they've done.
So Andy, where are you? Are you doing main story stuff? You said that you basically sacked that off.
Yeah, I've just sacked it off and just started building. Yeah, I'm in Pallet Town and I'm just building like canals and shit. Yeah. You know, seeing all those those social media vids, I was like, oh, I need to make a tunnel now. How did the guy make the tunnel under the water?
It's kind of so. Have you got the ability to like suck up water to?
No, spoiler.
Have I? I don't.
We're back on 600-year-old helmets.
Yeah. This is why I would say complete the story, because you get access to all the building tools, including the very last one, which is extremely overpowered. But yeah,
it's just the make it nice. It's the generative AI tool. You get DLSS 5.
The best tool is once you find Electrode and Voltorb and you build a cannon, you can put them in the cannon and shoot it at material. Like you can terraform an entire mountain just by shooting Electrode at it over and over again and then making it explode. It's like there's so many little kind of mechanics in there that are so excellent. Al, you were playing it just before we started recording because you're an unprofessional bastard. Where are you at with it?
I very much the same as Andy. I did a little bit of I had a little bit of advice off Joe Merrick and literally some freak that loves Pokemon.
He runs therapy.com.
Yeah. Doesn't he? No, he runs that app. No.
Yeah.
I was chatting to Joe and I got
that's horrific, by the way.
It is really awful.
He texted me about that as it was happening, and he was like, "I'm trying not to freak out, but I think this is happening." And I was like, "Mate, you seem to forget that you run like the biggest Pokemon website and one of the biggest Pokemon Twitter accounts in the world. Just put out a thing and people will go two-footed. Thankfully, a lot of the community, apart from a few absolute daft bastard leak accounts, were like, "You've completely ripped that off of Cerebi." And
this is, but Joe's too nice and too straight.
He's too nice.
Yeah. What he needs to do is just put some lies. Put some lies in his life.
I've told him this before.
What you have to do is go to the Badger Den and use the Badger ability.
Badgermon, go and get him.
We use them on RPG a lot. It's lies. Famously, they used to put them in maps, right? So that's where the term paper town comes from, because you'd put a town in a map that didn't exist in real life.
That's why I keep crashing my car.
An inconsequential final tap, inconsequential tiny town. You put that on your map, and if that appears on someone else's map, they've copied you. And on RPG, we will all the time put into guides very silly little additional things where someone who's actually playing the game would never get confused. They would look at that and go, "That's weird. That's not a thing." They must have just been really tired when they wrote this. But we have caught so many people who've then reproduced a weapon that doesn't exist, or a doorway that doesn't exist, or something like that. And in Joe's case, thankfully, he had a few just natural errors because he was putting so much information. One-man band, he does an incredible job. So he managed to catch him off the back of that. But it is horrific, and it's getting worse and worse. We had an RPG last night. One of our guys said, linked a review on a website and was like, "Read this and then read ours and just see what you think." And it was very clear this review had been they'd pumped our review through AI. And what was shocking about it is the writer of that writes for quite a lot of large sites.
Oh, name and shame.
I haven't spoken to editors and stuff yet, but it's something that's on my to-do list.
His name is Andy
Robinson. But Placopia, I had a bit of advice off Joe about where I needed to go to quickly get the best skills.
Yeah.
And then I returned to the first area, and I've just been making the first area beautiful. That's what I've been doing.
The last time I was playing it, I'm kind of in my creation phase now. Like I've got the Pokedex, I've got all of that stuff, and now it's like, okay, what do I want to do? Do I want to do kind of like recreations of the actual Pokemon towns that they're based on, because they give you basically every asset from Let's Go, and you could recreate it one for one, or do I want to do something that's a bit more creative, but it's pretty overwhelming. Scullion, I assume that's why you are resolutely refusing to play it, you scumbag.
Well, we're on something else now, which is embargoed, so I can't really talk about it. But in time, I will. Eventually, I'm waiting for a big train trip or a big flight, and then that's when I'll.
Yeah, but it's not a good game for that because it makes you wait lots.
Oh, time skip.
No, I'm not going to time skip. Oh, well, what I'll do is I'll start it when I'm on a train or a plane, then I'll switch to something else that I've not played yet. I'll switch to Metroid because I've not started that yet either.
Oh, don't bother, that's pish.
I know, but I want to do it anyway. Just so I know I've done it. But I think when I do eventually play it, I'll be like, I'll get as far as I'll try and do the Pokedex, and then that's it. Because I'm not that. I've said this before. My brain doesn't work in a creative way, which is why I prefer Dreamlight Valley to Animal Crossing, because I get objectives and get told what to do and do it. So when I've got a Pokédex, I've got like a task to complete. Once I do that, I think then I'll probably be done with it, because I won't then go, oh, how can I create this world? I don't care. So I'll give myself a mission and then piss off.
To be fair, there are a lot of missions, like the requests in the game.
I think it's quite handholdy.
Yeah. Even when you finished it, you get like
I know that's one of the
Pokemon.
shittiest things about it. I think is that the handholdy stuff is not really that dynamic either. Is that say when I got to the second area, I like cleaned it all up, hooked up the electricity, did a load of tasks, and then obviously the mission structure would tell me to speak to different Pokemon, and they tell me to do all the stuff that I've done. Like, with really handholdy, like with the camera angle, like, oh, have you thought about going over here to get this? And then they do, well, what you should do. And then they'll go, oh, you've done it. Like after telling me exactly, just skips it.
I thought that stuff was quite funny, that they're like, oh, okay, you've already met this guy, let's go on then. Like, that stuff, I think with most people who get really into it, the actual percentage of the time they'll spend playing the story stuff will end up being about 5%. And then the rest is all this like creativity stuff, which is, it's interesting to see how people are approaching it. Like a lot of my pals who are streaming it and stuff like that, they're just staying in the first area and they're getting to environment level 10. And it's like, that is not how I approached it at all. Obviously, I was in a different situation where I was reviewing it, so I was like trying to see everything. But there's only one moment in the story that kind of gates you and says, go back and get your environment level to 5 in each of these areas to get this item. But I think most people will actually skip that block by already being at the level 5 environment level, because it's not that hard to get the environment up. You can make some really shit houses, and the Pokemon are like, oh, thank you so much for making me this dirt square with one bed in it. It's like, yeah, you're welcome, Conkeldurr. No Klefki, sadly, yet. Maybe in a future update we'll get Klefki in there. I assume a big expansion will be coming this Christmas, because they're missing like Lavender Town and Cinnabar Island and all these like iconic locations from Kanto. Like, you have to do Lavender Town. Like, that's such a cool premise for a environment. And there's no like snow biome. Like, they could do something.
Is this like a spoiler cast?
Well,
you've got like a list of stuff that you're reading out for us. Here's what's in the game. Here's not in the game.
Pikachu's in the game. Spoilers, but if you'd like more Pikachu trivia, you can come to VGC Live this October in Glasgow. Tickets are on sale. The last time I checked, there is fewer than a handful. What's fewer than a handful? It depends how big your hands are, but go and get them. There's going to be a lot of fun stuff there, a lot of special guests. Alex Donaldson's going to be there, because he'll still be unemployed by that point, so come on and meet Alex Donaldson. He'll sign your copy of any Final Fantasy game, so bring him a really shite one. Alex, what's the worst numbered Final Fantasy, top of the head? Come on now.
I'm not. There's a
16. Get it up, you Ben.
No, I think probably on balance, it's probably 2. Probably.
Oh, come on! No one was alive when that game came out. What's the worst recent one?
I'll give you my controversial Final Fantasy take.
Alex Donaldson's controversial Final Fantasy take
is that people will hate this. Is that FF11 is better than 14 has ever been.
Come on now, get that clipped and sent to the RPG nerds.
But I appreciate what 14 is and everything. But I've got 11's got a special place in my heart. If you talk about a ranking of the modern ones, probably for me, 13, 15, 16 in that order.
13 worst or 13 best?
13 best.
Ooh.
I think my respect for 13 has exploded since the 7 remake games came out, because you see that's the lineage, right? Is they went from that to those games, and you wouldn't get those excellent 7 games without 13. It's a really flawed game, but it's funny, they're all really flawed. And the funny thing is, it's like, on balance, 16 is the best one of those games, in the sense that 16 is polished, and they had a vision for how big it needed to be and the content and stuff, and they made exactly that game. They didn't end up in the weeds for months and months and years making loads of bullshit that didn't make it into the game, like they did for 15 and for 13. But weirdly, the scope that they crafted is kind of boring. I think. Whereas 15 is a horrendous mess, but it's so interesting.
Get that clipped. Put it at the back of the box. 15, a horrendous mess. Alex Donaldson.
Yeah, but you got to have the horrendous mess, but interesting, fascinating. Like it's. I think that speaks to a general thing about games, right? I would rather have a flawed. Generally speaking, I'd rather have like a 7 out of 10 that's got loads of interesting ideas and he's taking some big swings than like an 8 out of 10 that is quite straight down the line and isn't really very risky and is very tight and yeah. I mean, better still if you have a game that's got loads of interesting ideas and is tight and stuff. That's where you get your 9s and your 10s. But it's sort of like I would rather have Dragon's Dogma than. I don't know, I'm trying to think of an equivalent game. I mean, weirdly, I'm a freak, but I would probably rather have Dragon's Dogma than Skyrim. So that's I'm
with you there, brother. Speaking of interesting ideas, you can get interesting ideas over on patreon.com/Video Games Chronicle. Now, we talk about this all the time, but we're about to hit a genuinely huge milestone over on patreon.com/Video Games Chronicle that I am shocked how quickly we got here, but I'm very thankful to the incredible community, the Discordians, the VGC maniacs, the freak shows that are in there. So if you enjoy VGC and you'd like to support us, and it genuinely makes the world of difference, patreon.com/Video Games Chronicle. You may have noticed the site's slightly different this week. Andy, do you want to speak to that? Or is this a thing that's rolled out to everyone, or is it just me?
News to me. Someone just changed the homepage a bit. Yeah, I think there's we've done a bit more integration with Patreon this week, so I think there's some of the content will kind of appear on there, and you can click across, and it's a little bit easier. We're going to do a little bit of messing about with the website this year. I mean, I'm trying. Are we 7?
2019, wasn't it? Yeah, 7.
Yeah, it's going to start to be 7 years old. Christ. Yeah, well, mate, what is time? 2019. So yeah, we'll do some bits and pieces on the website because it's starting to creak a little bit. So we're
you can make baseball caps that say 7th anniversary on them.
I mean, if you can make a baseball cap big enough for my head, that would be class.
The analogy only works if you make the caps for the anniversary the day up, well, like a couple of weeks after you announce that it's closed.
I want a VGC 7th anniversary poster signed by Yasuke.
That would be pretty good. That would be pretty decent. Well, we can maybe see if Jensen Yang will sign the poster because he seems to be in a good mood. Story number 1, they're completely wrong. NVIDIA CEO responds to widespread criticisms of DLSS 5. What else could we speak about this week? On Monday, the technology giant launched its latest iteration of its machine learning tech. This time, instead of improving game resolution or frame rate, DLSS 5 uses an AI model to alter the visuals of supported games running on NVIDIA graphics cards, adding what it calls photoreal lighting and materials. This went down about as well as you could expect it to. Chris Scullion, were you like me? When I saw these images posted on Blue Sky, I thought the real images were the memeified versions until I saw the video, and I was like, oh, that's actually not Grace anymore. That's a different human being.
It's a weird one because I think the biggest mistake, other than the whole use of AI, which obviously is the main mistake, I think the biggest mistake they did was putting faces in it.
Yeah.
Because the before and after ones that were mainly just scenery, you can tell. I think a lot more people would have been, that was quite good, actually. It's the faces completely changing, even though when you then look at it in a granular detail, you go, actually no, they're replacing textures and stuff like that. That actually isn't right. On a first glance, you look at it and go, I can tell the lighting's very different there, and the lighting is improved. It also makes a mockery of ray tracing. Raymond tracing.
Poor Raymond, man, he's getting absolutely bummed.
They're making such a big deal about ray tracing the entire time, and then you look at what games could look like, and you go, okay, we're nowhere near that yet. AI isn't the way to get there. But it shows how far we still have to go before we can actually get realistic lighting in games, even though this isn't how it should be done. So yeah, the face stuff is just the fact that they very quickly backpedaled, basically, because they come out saying this is generative AI, this is the future, blah blah blah, and then they said actually no, you've got full control over it. It's iffy.
It is indeed iffy. I'll continue this story and then we can all get ripped.
Alex isn't sure though.
Alex is very pro AI. A press Q&A with Tom's Hardware at GTC 2026. editors know, every time someone's been saying GTC this week, I've been thinking they've been incorrectly saying GDC. Didn't know GTC was a thing. NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang has downplayed the criticism of DLSS 5 and claimed that developers will have full control over its implementations in their games. Quote, well, first of all, they're completely wrong. Strong. The reason for this is because, as I've explained very carefully, DLSS 5 fuses the controllability of geometry and textures and everything about the game with generative AI. He added that the developers can, quote, fine-tune the generative AI to make it match the game's visual style, claiming that DLSS 5 adds generative capability to existing game geometry, but that it doesn't change the artistic control. Alex Donaldson, defend NVIDIA.
Well, I'm not going to defend NVIDIA. I have been, but what I will say is I'm a techie guy for this sort of stuff. Like, I'm not on the Digital Foundry level, but if Digital Foundry is a guy who sits in his garage tinkering with the engine of his sports car, I'm more in the Clarkson zone of I just want to get in something and put my foot down and go, whoa! And so I've been a big, ever since the first, the 20 series, the first RTX cards, 7-8 years ago now, been a big advocate of the stuff they've been doing, even when it's been a bit ropey. This is the first time I saw it and I was just like, this is not, the post I did on Blue Sky said, this is not it. This is not it, guys. And as quoted on BBC News. So I think it's important to understand what it is, right? And the problem there is NVIDIA's been extremely cagey about what it actually is. So at first they said it was not generative AI at all, and they were like, we're not touching the models, we're not touching the textures, etc., etc. Then you've had Jensen come out and say, oh, it fuses, blah, 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 with generative AI. They've sort of said that it uses the visual and then motion vector data from the games. But it's all really unclear. It's all smoke and mirrors. What I take it to mean is what it looks to me like they're doing is it looks like they are taking the final image of a game, of Resident Evil Requiem, and then they're literally passing it through a filter that is like an AI filter. Like if you fed an AI an old photo that you've scanned in of your grandma and gone, can you clean this up for me?
Yeah.
And the AI would do its job and it would mangle grandma's face and make her look like, Scarlett Johansson or whatever. That's sort of what they're... And I think you can even tell from how they were running this demo. So they were running this demo where they had the games running on one... They had an SLI'd, so 2 graphics cards in one machine. And they had one 5090 that was just rendering the games and another second 5090 that was rendering doing the After Effects stuff. And I think that's why you've ended up with these faces looking so different and stuff, because you do look at it, and Grace's nose changes shape. Her mouth becomes more, it looks like she had lip fillers. Her eyes change shape a little bit. And it speaks to, and it's the same for the men. I think it's more pronounced for the women, which speaks to the way these AI models were trained, where a lot of the times the data sets of what they believe a person looks like has been trained off freely available. Let me just say this: freely available images and video online, of which quite a large proportion is pornography.
600-year-old helmets, and
also makeup tutorials on YouTube. Like there was a whole thing where they were found to be scraping makeup tutorials and stuff, and so. That's how you end up with Grace, who in that scene is meant to look quite dour. She's going to the place where her mom was murdered. This is right at the start of the game, so it's not exactly, it's not
spoilers.
Not a spoiler. So she's not got a face full of a Sunday best on and stuff. She, but it goes through that filter and it comes out that way. Or just like one of the Starfield shots, one of the, I don't know what they're called, one of the Space Marines, Space Cowboys, whatever. Like the filter gives him a much stronger jawline.
And also the lighting's weird. Like it looks like they're filming content for like TikTok or something, right? Like they're all lit. Like the way they're lit. I think this whole situation like sort of highlights the tug of war between tech and art, right?
Yes,
that's why I mean, I know you're probably the same. That's why I find video games as a medium so fascinating. Is that it is this kind of melting pot of technology and art, right? And that this has sort of like raised that, right? I think when I saw it, I thought this looks absolutely grim. The whole thing, I think, just comes across as really, really. I don't want to say like ignorant at best. Like from the point of NVIDIA, cynical is a better word. That, you know, AI right now is everyone has to shove AI down your throats to get those investors excited. They're the biggest AI company, the biggest technology company on earth right now. They need to be doing this stuff, right? But I think a lot of these companies like really underestimate, you know, the consumer sentiment around this. It's kind of baffling, right? Because we know of like companies who didn't want to partake in this, right?
Yes.
We looked at this imagery, and I was exactly the same as Jordan. I was like, that looks absolutely grim, you know. And it's
I had messages from developers who were like, we had our studio had an opportunity to be part of this, and we chose not to, and thank God we chose not to. With the lighting, it's like, I do think there's a glow up for environments.
Oh, and I think if they would just show the environments, we maybe would be having a different conversation about it.
Because
I want to see how limited it is, though, right? Like in consistency. Because it's using the screen data and it's painting over the scene, basically, right? So what about stuff that... But I don't think it's considering...
What if you ran a Mario game through it?
The 3D data, right? Like what about light sources that are off screen? What about reflections that are off screen? I'd want to see more of it.
Well, it can't. This is the thing. It can't do anything with that, because the impression that I get
because I just think it could be horribly broken
and process it. Well, note they showed very little of it running, and in the one of the clips they showed of it running, they showed FIFA.
Yep.
And I think that's a risky one in itself, because how close does the AI filter get to what the real player looks like? You almost can end up in a situation where the hyper realistic AI'd version of their face looks worse than the slightly ropey scanned in by EA when they took a few cameras to the stadium on a training day looks. But also, in that footage, we had a ball moving, and it was very clear that the fast moving motion of the ball was something this could not handle. Look, NVIDIA's whole thing is they're now AI led as a company, and that's the path they've chosen to go down. I'm not going to get into that. Like, whatever. That's the choice of Jensen and the people there. I mean, GTC has been going for 15 years, and GTC stands for GPU Technology Conference. Except this year on NVIDIA's website, it is referred to as the AI Conference. It's the premier global AI conference. That's the way they describe it.
And I imagine GDC, there was a lot I mean, I understand, and I'm not surprised. It was like this last year. There was a lot of anxiety in general, like the mood. Not just about like the future of what's happening in America, but the future of what's happening in that industry. And it kind of feels like this is the inevitable collision that's coming between technology and artists. Because the real core of this issue for me is what this means for the art form, you know, what it means for people who have created this. Because they said that obviously they have the blessing of these companies. They couldn't do it without it. But having the blessing of, like, you know, Tsujimoto at Capcom is not the same as having the blessing of the people who built that game, the artists who modeled, the actress who plays Grace, you know, the people who set up the lighting in that game. It's not. I would imagine that there's a lot of, you know, very upset people, artists and stuff at these companies, because it's the same thing is from my experience of working dev side. You know, you look at like Todd Howard, and this is speculation, but from my experience, but you got Todd Howard sat there, you know, saying this is amazing or whatever. From my experience, dev side, designers don't always really like artists, right? From their point of view, they've designed this game, and then the artists are going in, slapping lights on it and flashy stuff and changing the meaning of the... Do you know what I mean? It's like you're trusting someone else with a different discipline with your, you know, designs, right? They can fundamentally change your design. And also, like, if, you know, they can slow the game down, they can break the game with all the stuff they've put on. Like we had artists who like had put too many leaves on the trees and stuff, and the designers would be angry. I think there's probably a lot of big designers out there who'd be quite happy to replace them with some sort of like generative AI.
I think we need to not confuse what we've seen this week with actual game development, though, because there's a very big difference. I mean, I agree with everything you said, but there's a very big difference between someone on Capcom's tech team who works on RE Engine going, oh yeah, we'll see what we can do in terms of the implementation of this tech to test it out, and a game dev deciding to use it. And the other thing is, this is a post-processing thing, so it can't even work without the game visuals there that the artists have defined. The danger here is that people churn this on and the art direction of the game is squashed out. You look at the character models of Starfield and Resident Evil are quite different, but once they've gone through these filters, the Starfield guys and Grace facially have very much that same style of.
But I think
RE Engine has a very specific very specific style look of person. You can tell an RE Engine model on site that is gone the second this tool comes into play. And for me, that's a bad thing because that's. But
even though this is an optional tool that's building on top of stuff, I think that's where the sentiment comes from, right? That people see that NVIDIA are the biggest company on earth. Certainly, they can brute force and influence the entire direction of game development with this stuff. So that's the pushback. I think is more about we don't want this.
Well, don't forget, NVIDIA has a 94% market share of GPU discrete GPU market. 94%. So what they say on PC goes. And do not forget that the Switch and the Switch 2 run on NVIDIA chips as well. And if Nintendo continues that relationship, it's like a big thing for the Switch is their version of what is equivalent to about DLSS 3 on PC. And that's part of why Pocopia is the first Pokemon game in forever that at launch hasn't run like terribly. But it's the other thing I say is this tech is miles off. Like the quote from that Jordan read out was, it's going to launch later this year. How? Right now, you've got it running on two GPUs that are £1,799 each, and that's if you can get them at retail price.
Chump change for you.
You need two of them.
The thing is, it has been DLSS has been AI since the start. So the whole point is deep learning, super sampling. But up to this point, people have been okay with it because all it's been doing has been upscaling existing. Like they basically used to fill in frames or upscale existing. Basically, upscale the resolution so you render a low resolution, bump it up to get decent performances, almost on a par with native resolution, but with far less processing power. People are generally okay with that because it's not altering anything. This is NVIDIA seemingly decided. People seem okay with AI, with all the AI stuff we're doing. Let's kick it up a notch, and they've kicked it up far too far. And I also don't buy the argument that but it's not messing with the geometry. It's like, well, it doesn't matter. When Grace Ashcroft looks like Grace Kelly, it doesn't matter.
One for the teenagers there. What a contemporary reference.
The kids love a Grace Kelly reference. I threw that in there for the young bucks. But you could put a clown face over someone. It doesn't matter if it doesn't change the mesh. Like that's not the artists are going mad and ask for that.
It doesn't change the mesh because of how it works, right? So it's weasel words. The end result is it looks like you've got a different character model, and the tech bro breathless futurist view is, but that character model looks more realistic, therefore it's better. Realistic is not always better, and this is the thing that perhaps the tech nerds and some tech media tripped over this, don't seem to be able to grasp is that sometimes realistic is not always better.
The other concern is in the future when games start getting trailers and screenshots in the future, people are going to say, are these trailers and screenshots captured using DLSS 5, and therefore is this actually how the game looks for 99.99% of players who don't have that or don't want to use it? Or are the faces I'm seeing in these trailers and screenshots very different to the faces that almost everyone is going to see? Because you've got to imagine developers and publishers are going to use this in their promotional material to make the game look as good, quote unquote, as it possibly could. So most people will be like, Is that how it's actually going to look like on my rig?
I have to be honest.
Very quickly, Alex, because we do need to move on. Closing thoughts on this whole stramash that's gone on this week.
Well, I just think it's a mess. I mean, just to what Chris said, I just want to say I have seen documentation from studios, major studios, about experimenting with AI movie making tools to make fake trailers or to master real trailers.
Hell yeah.
Good.
So,
come on.
So this is something that is very, very much real. But all I'd say is the tech wasn't ready for the prime time. This was something that someone at a studio that did not participate in said to me. They said, I think actually this tech has a real place and will be really useful, but probably not for 2 or 3 years. They've gone too fast, too early, trying to impress everyone. And it's blown up in their faces, and I think, it just goes too far. When it looks like an Instagram filter, it's too much, and it's a shame because my favourite DLSS anecdote around the time of DLSS 2 was in Death Stranding. Textures, you have limits on how big the textures can be because of VRAM limits, right? And there was a texture I like on one of the backpacks or whatever where it had some text. And that text was grainy enough because of the quality of the text that you couldn't really read what it said. And when it went through the DLSS filter for the upscale was smart enough to actually make that text legible again. Brilliant. Absolutely amazing use of upscaling AI technology. That is a world apart from this, where it's making everyone look like they've got insane Hollywood lighting or insane, like they've got a ring light in front of them. And, you know, they've just gone too far. And now they're getting bitten for it, and tech journalists are getting bitten for it. And yeah, it's good that this has happened because, like I say, Nvidia has 94% market share of the PC market. PC becomes the benchmark for what consoles do as well. Like where PC goes, console tends to follow. Like PlayStation has PSSR, which is basically the equivalent of DLSS 1, 2, 3, 4. So hopefully this gives them pause for thought and really gives studios pause for thought as well. But I don't have an enormous amount of faith based on how deep we're chugging on the AI Kool-Aid as an industry.
At least the memes were good. Before the break, another very sad story. Ubisoft has ended game development at Tom Clancy's studio Red Storm, resulting in 105 job losses. The North Carolina-based studio will continue operating in the form of global IT and Snowdrop support, but all game developers have been made redundant, Ubisoft announced internally on Thursday. Founded in 1996 by Tom Clancy himself, which is an absolutely amazing wrinkle in this story. Red Storm developed the first game.
Should have been called Tom Clancy's Red Storm.
Yeah, probably. Including Rainbow Six and Ghost Recon, which would go on to become significant franchises. Andy, you broke this news, a little bit of ska on this. This team was working on the Division Heartland most recently. Is that the case?
Yeah, it's a very sad story for any of us old heads. That they still exist, but it's like it's going to be ITs and tech support basically. They're not working on games, but this is like, you know, this is a slow death of their game development. I think. I mean, they've been making VR games for the last 10 years, so that's probably the bigger story here. Is how the VR scene has lost another like really good developer. I'm not a big VR guy, but I think
Ridge Crew
games. Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah,
it's so they're great game.
I know that the games that they were making had quite good reputation. I think probably the nail in the coffin for them was Heartland was their thing, which got cancelled in 2024 after public testing. They were probably an easy cut for Ubisoft, which is in the mode of cutting I think 200 million a year. That's it feels like it's every week at the moment that we get one of these.
It certainly does. Across the Tom Clancy slate, the kind of titles that you would know if you're confused as to why the Tom Clancy stuff is all over the place. Massive is the Division. Ubisoft Montreal is Rainbow Six Siege, which recently added Snake from Metal Gear, which was kind of mad. Ubisoft Paris is Ghost Recon Wildlands, and Toronto is the much missing in action Splinter Cell remake. At this point, Chris, I expect it would not surprise me if Ubisoft is pared down to just Assassin's Creed and Rainbow Six Siege and basically nothing else.
Yeah, it's like I say, it has been the slow death of the studio. Is like they haven't been this is not, for the longest time, it hasn't been the Red Storm that was making the original kind of Rainbow Six and Ghost Recon games for a while. But to Alex's point, the VR stuff they've been making has been great.
Really good.
It's just that VR has such a small share of the kind of player base that they were on a hiding to nothing. It was almost certainly going to result in lower than expected sales, just purely because of the format, regardless of the quality of the game. Nothing they made was going to make people buy VR just to play.
I wonder what they were working on, because obviously they had two VR. They had a VR Splinter Cell game that got cancelled in 22, and they had a Division game that was cancelled in 24. But I wonder what they've been doing for the last 2 years. And why it didn't cut the mustard. I mean, I will say, it's whenever a studio closes, you just got to look at, obviously the last one they worked on their own were the Raw games, seminal 360 Ghost Recon. I mean, Ghost Recon Advanced Warfighter was so good, and then obviously all those early Ghost Recon games. But you go back and they did the movie tie-in for the Sum of All Fears. Which makes sense because that was a Tom Clancy joint, right? And they did before they were part of Ubisoft. They did some really interesting PC strategy games. Like they did one that was called Ruthless.com. Tom Clancy's Ruthless.com.
Andy, can we actually rebrand the website to Ruthless.com? Is that possible as part of the new?
Sounds like an energy drink.
Hell
and it
yeah.
was a business sim. It was you were the evil CEO taking over and destroying other companies. And they did one called and then they got bought by Ubisoft.
Hey yo. See you later. Patreon.com/Video Games Chronicle. Oh man, bad.
Very sad.
Very sad indeed. After the break, we'll be chatting about Shenmue. Oh, God. We'll also be chatting about what we've been playing this week and a few more headlines. Patreon.com/Video Games Chronicle for more podcasts, videos, and ad-free browsing on the website. We'll see you in a minute. Andy, go and get your coffee, and we'll be right back. And we are back. Next story, Scotland's new away kit for the World Cup looks absolutely fantastic. This dropped this morning. It is pink and kind of scarlet red. You can go on Google to look this up. And honestly, I'm starting to get World Cup fever. Will the World Cup actually happen? Who can say? Alex, you were in the United States of America. How was it?
Wow. I mean, I perfectly understand why people don't want to travel there. I get it. It doesn't really feel any different, though. I think the flip side is it's something a lot of media don't, right? But I've got a visa and I've got the special thing where I got cleared, so I don't even have to do the meeting. I don't even have to have an interview. I just go to the electronic thing and scan my passport and walk straight through. So I think that's a lot less daunting. But, GDC was quite calm. We didn't have, compared to last year at Summer Games Fest, where we had, rioting and police going up back and forth and smoke billowing in the air 5 or 6 blocks from the campus.
And that was just Chris Scullion.
And that was just Chris. That was just Chris
lighting up a doobie visiting Snoop Dogg.
But it was, it's America's America, right? And it's a crazy place right now. I don't know what to say about it. But the GDC definitely, the quick GDC report, GDC felt very, very, very quiet. I scooted around the show floor. I was astonished by how
the attendance was down by a third, right?
I was astonished by how little was on the show floor. And really GDC was just me and Mr. Christopher Drink.
Who?
Sort of just meandering. The man who was too important to be on this podcast today.
I know, cheeky bastard.
But we just wandered around.
Can't lie to him doing his MOT.
We should get him to get some footage.
Andy, text Dringo and get him to take a video of him doing his MOT. We'll pop it in the podcast. I wanted to ask, because obviously we're thinking about SGF. Do you think this will be a mirrored story? Because surely a lot of developers are thinking we're not sending our people just in case.
I think SGF attendance, I think it'll be weird because I think two things are true at once, and I wonder how it's all going to pan out. Which is to say, I think next year is going to be massive for video games in general. I think there's a few different things going on. I think the timelines on a lot of big games have just converged on 2027. I think there's also that a lot of publishers are doing GTA Blue Balls, and because GTA got delayed, some stuff that was 26 has gone back into 27 to avoid it. So the fact that I expect 2027 to be massive means that you would expect SGF to be big. And there's definitely certain publishers where it sounds like they're going to have a massive blowout. But equally, there's a lot of people that don't want to travel. There's a lot of people that feel uncomfortable about going to the US. I definitely think journalist attendance from outside the US will be down. It was already down last year. Well, I remember chatting to someone about who was working on the SGF side, and they were talking about how many non-British Europeans there were at the show and how much less it was than the previous year. I bet it's even less this year. So it feels like it'll be yeah.
So yeah, it feels like it'll be a case of like the actual show itself, the showcase itself will be big, but so that'll still have a lot of stuff in it. But then I'd imagine you'll have fewer developers going, well, we're not actually then going to have demo sessions. We'll either do it remotely or we'll save it till like a later time. So I don't imagine the quality of the show itself.
I'm sure the show will be great
as a result, but the actual the press bit after it, I would imagine, will be reduced.
It'd be interesting, but the part of the thing about that is, though, if you're having your big blowout for your game at SGF, at Jeff's broadcast, then do you not want to be at Playdays with a playable build? Mm. You know, or with a demo. It's the Resident Evil thing, right? Like last year, Capcom had 3 things, right? They had Resident Evil on stage at Jeff's thing, and then they had a non-playable hands-off stage demo at Playdays for the majority of media, and then they let a small handful, I think 10 or 12 media play it. And that's sort of the path you would expect a lot of people to follow. But obviously, if people don't want to go, if people don't feel comfortable going, can you do your demos and stuff like that? So it's going to be interesting. I mean, I'm going, but it'll be interesting to see what path developers take with that. And I expect Gamescom will be huge as well for that reason, because perhaps anyone who holds off is going to go, right, we're going to go hell for leather in Cologne, which bring it on, because that's my favourite show.
And Gamescom's going to be massive this year, I think.
I love Gamescom.
Andy, how many cans do you think we'll be able to stack before they start stealing them again?
Well, I'll have to have words with the maid, I reckon.
We need to get a massive sign in every possible language, so there can be no interpretation problems. Like, under no circumstances are you to remove any of these cans, and then we can see how we get to the end. We can throw Chris Ring through it to celebrate the closing of the show. I think Playdays is great. It feels like a uni campus where you're just like walking around and bumping into people and like playing games and stuff like that. Like within 2 minutes last year, Neil Druckmann and Hideo Kojima walked by, and the majority of people don't bother them because like it's a professional industry event. There are one or two who perhaps run up and
I accidentally ghosted Jeff Keighley at that moment. I think he said to me when I said hi to you, and he ignored me. He was with Hideo Kojima. Hideo Kojima, and he's like, "Hey Andy," and I just thought he was speaking to someone else.
I was chatting to Capcom's Ryozo Sugimoto in the back of their stand, and like, yeah, you get that where it's like Phil Spencer and Sarah Bond walked in, and Ryozo was like, "I'm really sorry, this is a great conversation, but I've got to go."
Yeah.
Speaking of GDC, actually, that's the one thing I didn't mention just now, is that probably the big story of the show that isn't really a story, but you know what I mean, it was definitely like right, here's the plan with Xbox. They had a lot of meetings with key partners where key partners sat down with, I understand, Asher and other people, and met them for the first time. They had an indie showcase where I was there with Chris, and Asher and Phil came in together, and she did a quick lap of the room, shook some hands. I've got to say, to her credit and in her defence of of all the people who might doubt, it's got to be very daunting coming into that as someone who isn't from the video game space, because she came into that room, and every influencer, YouTuber, or more outgoing journalist you can imagine made a beeline straight for her. And I couldn't blame her for like doing a lap and then ducking out, because bloody hell, that must be intense. Whereas Phil seemed like a weight had been lifted. He seemed super happy, super chill. He hung out for like 45 minutes just chatting to people, shooting the shit. So I think that shows the difference of pressure, right? But I spoke to a few people who had meetings with them there, and it sounds like they're finally getting a clear vision across, which I'm sure, again, come back to SGF being big, it's probably going to hear about it there, right? So, yeah.
Yeah, just very briefly, because you mentioned Capcom, I did an interview at Summer Game Fest. What year did they have Wilds? Was that last year, the year before? Whenever
year before.
I did an interview with Dakota-san, who we were chatting away, and this was a pre-Switch 2 era, and I asked about a future Nintendo console that the series might appear on, and he was in a great mood. And I think I put this in the article, but I've talked about it before. He just went, no. And that was it, interview over. And you could see our collective mate at Capcom, hello if you're listening, just being like, thank God, I got away with that. It's great, man. The vibe there is excellent. So hopefully if the long mate continue, as long as the mate doesn't steal any of our Strong Zero or Grape Monster. Have to go back to Big Papa's Smoke Shop across from the Staples Centre to get more. Well, from the fun to the sad, that's the VGC podcast motto. Crystal Dynamics has announced its 4th round of layoffs in a year. A statement posted on the company's LinkedIn page announced that it was laying off 20 staff across development and central operations. Quote, today, Crystal Dynamics is reducing its workforce by 20 talented team members, split between some development personnel and some central operations roles. This is a difficult day for our studio, and we never make these decisions lightly, particularly after the restructuring we underwent last year. Apparently, these layoffs won't affect the upcoming remake of Tomb Raider: Legacy of Atlantis or its sequel, the sequel Tomb Raider Catalyst. Chris, this is I'm worried for Crystal D here because this continues to happen. And when is the last time they've put out like a what is the last game Crystal Dynamics put out? That's my question here. You talking? I'll search.
It was the original Legacy of Kain. So. Yeah, it's a weird one. Like you say, this is the 4th time in a year that they've kind of laid off, done like a round of layoffs. It does seem like, I don't want to say death by 1,000 cuts because there's by no means it doesn't seem like it's dying anytime soon, but it's certainly not a good look for a studio that's working on 2 big budget Tomb Raider games.
The last game they put out, according to Wikipedia, was Marvel's Avengers. Which
that says it all, doesn't it?
An absolute banger. Obviously, they were working on Microsoft's Perfect Dark. God rest it.
Yeah, saying they were working. Yeah, they were helping with other stuff, which just ended up being scrapped. And to be fair, that's what some of the previous layoffs were related to. After Perfect Dark was cancelled, around the layoffs came kind of shortly after that, and you got to imagine a lot of those were down to people who were working on Perfect Dark as opposed to the Tomb Raider stuff. But yeah, like it's still not a great look that this is the fourth time in a year that they've gone, oh, here's some more people going. It's like, oh, are they bringing in as many people? Well, clearly not, because it's a cost cutting thing. But
I get the sense that if they didn't have Amazon money doing this Tomb Raider thing, that we would be doing the Crystal Dynamics' closing story. Like, you can't not put out a thing since 2020 and like in this current market. Alex, your thoughts?
I was just going to say, anytime a studio is letting people go when they're midway through the development of a big AAA game, something crazy is going on there. And I don't know how much they expanded by, but in 2022 they were under 300 people. So I don't know how much they went over that in the subsequent years. Obviously, you get the COVID bump and stuff like that, where people started hiring because video games made loads of money during COVID. But like, it must be over half the studio gone, surely.
I wonder how much of this is related to projects that they're working.
That's the question.
Because obviously they're working on Perfect Dark, so a lot of the layoffs would have presumably previous ones would have been attached to that. And there was talk that they might be contributing to like Fable.
Yeah,
I know it's like some extra Xbox stuff. That
I believe that is true. Yeah, I think so.
So maybe their duties on Fable are finished. And those people are no longer needed for them.
It's just sort of crazy how they've gone from when they were making the Square Enix Tomb Raider reboot trilogy they were the studio getting help. Like, they had Eidos Montreal working on those games with them. And Feral Interactive also, I think. And then now we've got two, and Avengers the same, right? Like Eidos Montreal did a load of that as well. Did a load of work on that. And now we're in a situation where they're making Tomb Raider games seemingly without any major support studios. I'm sure there's some studios in China and the Philippines and stuff working on it. I have no doubt. But also, I think this was a conversation that came up a lot at GDC, which is this is where we need Chris on the podcast, the other Chris, the drinking Chris. But someone showed me a graph that it was like the number of job losses in the industry over the last 5 years, and it was a pie chart of the percentages of where those job losses were, and California was like
I think
the rest of the world
off
combined.
the top of my head, it was half the layoffs were in the US, more than half, and then the majority of those were in California.
And I was introduced to some fascinating, interesting folks at GDC, and a lot of them were from support studios based out of countries like Taiwan, Philippines, China, and that feels like that might be the future we're heading towards, where these big name Western studios get smaller and smaller and smaller, and what happens is a lot more of the work is moved abroad to these incredibly competent outsourced studios.
I thought this was the direction of travel for a while. I remember before we launched VGC about 7 years ago, I went to visit Enhance, Mizuguchi's studio of Tetris Effect, Rez, Lumines fame, and they're like, a lot of the Japanese studios I visited are like this, the independent ones. It's like a Hollywood setup where they got 20 guys. Like, you go to Enhance, there's 20 guys there. There's the art director, there's the game director, there's the lead concept artist, there's the lead programmer. And so they can sit in pre-production for, a year, 2 years with a very small burn rate. And when they're ready to go, they go and get Monstars, the studio that make programming the games. They go and get an art studio and they get them in and they go into production. It feels like safer, more sustainable, right? Because the issue always was for these studios that there's a lot of time in between projects where people are potentially not doing anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely think that we're moving to a world. It'll be fascinating, especially with all the job losses, which are terrible. But just from a business perspective, it'll be very interesting on the backside of this to see the credits later this year for Legacy of Atlantis and see who else has worked on that game, and see if it is mostly Crystal, or if it is part of this overall trend of these studios shrinking and more outsourced work. But it sucks.
It's a very, very sad story indeed. Next up, hold on to your hats. Shenmue 3 Enhanced gets its first trailer and collector's edition information. Yu Suzuki is not defeatable. The game will be released on PS5, Xbox Series X, Nintendo Switch 2, PC in Q4 2026. NN, is that how you pronounce it? NN Games? ININ Games says the physical Switch 2 version will contain the full game on the cartridge rather than a game key card for the 5 people that care.
But I want to play Shenmue 1 and 2 on Switch.
Yeah, well.
Are they not on Switch? Did they not put that?
I know they're not on Switch.
Oh.
I don't know. It's certainly the first time 3's been put on.
It seems like a no-brainer.
Congratulations, Nintendo owners! You can now play the worst in this series.
Yeah.
No sign of 1 or 2 yet.
The worst of a bad
can we
bunch.
Talk about,
there's going to be 3 editions: standard, special, and collectors. The collector's edition includes a statue in which it looks like Rio is defecating on the side of the street. So Chris Scullion has naturally purchased it. Yeah,
I'm in. Like, the thing is, like, Shenmue's my weak spot. That's what, even though
one of many.
That's the only weak spot I have. Everything else I shun. But as soon as she's Shenmue, that's me. Like, even though I know 3 wasn't that great, like they've brought out the first screenshots of this new enhanced edition, and they've given you an option to play it with the camera angle behind them, like in the first 2, and instantly I was like, right, okay.
You have so many
I might have to
games
give it
that
a
you
go.
could be playing instead of Shenmue.
Did we?
But it comes with the built-in nostalgia that other games don't. So for people who don't give a shit about Shenmue,
that was a
magical
game. Playing
I tell you,
for people new to it, you won't give a shit about this, and you'll get 3 and go, I don't know what the fuss is all about. For people like me and Andy and Alex as well,
it's nostalgia.
Well, look. Here's my stance on it. I played that game. I was sort of okay, but it's a bit crap. I expected it to be a bit crap. But my big issue was I got to the end and I was like, I've waited 20 years and you haven't moved the story forward at all. Yeah. F you, man. This is a joke. And that was sort of where because if I was him, I would have been like, right, I don't know if I'm going to get to do a 4th. Not necessarily finish the story, but let's seriously move it forward. You know, I'm one of those people who back in the day used to go on Shenmue Dojo and look at all the concept art they dug up and figured out who the bad guys that we hadn't met yet were and stuff like that. And so for me, I'm sort of like the idea behind this is it's the carrot being dangled again of, well, if we get enough interest on this, maybe we can do 4 and then we can finally move the story forward. And I'm sort of starting to feel like Suzuki's just milking as much as he can out of us before retirement, and the story's never going to be told.
What Mr. Suzuki does, what Mr. Suzuki wants, he gets. I think I've probably only ever seen PR staff scared of someone, visibly scared twice, and both times it was you, Suzuki.
I interviewed him.
And I'm not saying he's like batters his staff or anything.
No, I interviewed him. I interviewed him twice for Shenmue 3, and on one occasion, and this was when the alarm bells rang for Shenmue 3. I think it was one of the first Western language interviews he did. I went to Monaco to interview him. I flew into Nice, and then they flew me in a helicopter to Suzuki's hotel.
With those Shenmue dollars.
There's a whole story there about Shenmue 3 about it was partially funded by this guy who's related to I think he's related to Monaco royalty. So they did a lot of stuff in Monaco for that game. Anyway, I flew in and sat down, had an interview, and I said to him, it's been 15 years or whatever it's been since the last game. You haven't made a game in the interim. What are you learning from other games to make Shenmue 3? And Suzuki looked me dead into the windows of my soul and said, I haven't played any other video games since. I don't care.
Yeah.
Come on, lad.
And I was like, right, so we know exactly what he's going to make. And indeed, he made that. I just, God bless him. And he was wearing a $50,000 Rolex. And I was like,
bet you that's the first thing you noticed. You're an absolute watch.
I know, you're like,
when you talk to me about your watch, when you talk about Shenmue 3, son, talk to me about that watch.
When you talk about PRs, the PR who was running that, safe story to tell because they're no longer in the industry. But after the chat, I mentioned, oh, great, like beautiful watch. I didn't really want to, because Japanese devs can sometimes be, they're very Japan. The culture is to be more unassuming, so I've had it before where people have been a bit embarrassed when people have had their watches pointed out, whatever. So I didn't mention it. But then the next time I saw Suzuki-san was it was at either an E3 or Gamescom in the back of CD Projekt Red stand. And we were both waiting to go into the Cyberpunk demo together. And that PR was with him. So it's like, oh, you remember Alex? Da, 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 da. And this PR went, well, meaning, Alex really likes your watch. Worst, most awkward interaction of my life. Like, his daughter was interpreting for him and it was really cold. And I was like,
while we're talking about awkward interactions, let's get to mine.
Go on.
I think the first one, right? I asked him, it's the first time I got, probably, I was thinking this is the first and last time I'll ever interview you, Suzuki, right? Shenmue 3, it's first game in 15 years. So I brought my Shenmue to get signed, right? I get my Shenmue signed. And I asked him at the end of the interview, I said, would you mind, signing my game? And obviously he has to go to the translator to ask. The translator reacted as if I'd just asked, Hayao Miyazaki, if I could use some generative AI on my animation. It was like I had defecated on the desk. But he was, what's that? It made me wonder, what's happened in the past to solicit this reaction. But he was fine, and he signed it, and he signed the disc, and he was fine. Second time, possibly, a lot more awkward. I interviewed him for his Apple Arcade game.
Oh yeah, I remember.
Oh,
that.
yeah,
that really weird Space Harrier, not Space Harrier, right? It's some Apple Arcade Space Harrier
Air
knockoff.
Twister.
Yeah, that's it.
Twister.
What a load of shit.
What a game.
But it's Yu Suzuki, huge respect. What a legend in our industry. He's made some of the most influential games of all time. I'm going to come and see this game. I'm going to support you. But this is the unwritten rule, right, of this sort of stuff. And this is the dance you do in the media in any form. He wants to talk about Air Twister. Our audience does not want to hear about Air Twister. So what you do is you ask a few about Air Twister, and then you talk about some of the stuff you really want to talk about. That your audience want to hear about. That's the dance in any kind of media interview when the interviewee is promoting something. So I asked him about Air Twister for like 20 minutes of a 30-minute interview. He says, right, now I'm going to ask about Shenmue. And it was shut down like completely, and he looked visibly angry as well. We're not talking about anything other than Air Twister. It's like, well, that's fine, but could you please give us an update on this? It's not even. I think it was very recent. He'd done a Japanese interview, so maybe there's some lost in translation stuff there where he talked about Shenmue, and it'll happen, and there's those kind of broad non-committal statements. So I asked him, I reworded it. Oh, look, it's fine. I don't mean to, to be rude, but our audience would really like to know about this. We're going to promote the game. I thought he was going to throw the desk.
I'm sure you.
I just had to end it. Okay, thank you very much.
I'm sure you'd appreciate, Andy. You hear a translator say, "Muzakashi desu." It's difficult, and you go, "Oh, here we go." It's because obviously it's difficult is the polite way of saying I don't want to piss off, leave me alone.
Yeah. Donaldson, when we both saw Yoshi P, did you ask him about his ridiculous watch at that Tower of London thing?
He's one of those ones that he's not like that. So yes, he and I have talked about watches, not even in an interview, at an event. He's been out on a smoke break
just down the bowling club.
I've walked past, and I don't smoke, but we've seen each other and waved, and we've had a quick conversation. And when you do that, you don't talk about games because it's just not polite, and it's about, PRs don't want you to be talking shop when they're not with them. So we've talked about watches and wine. He loves wine. But he's one of those ones. He's sound for stuff like that. Talk to Todd Howard about his watch. He's a watchman, and when he was doing Starfield, he wore an Omega Speedmaster for all of the Starfield press tour, which that was the first watch in space. Not the first watch in was the first watch in space? Definitely the first watch to go on the moon. Built to spec for NASA, and he wore one of those, which was a nice deep cut of I'm making a space game, I'm going to wear the space watch. So it's a good thing to connect with devs over.
Yeah. It's a shame. It's a shame the watch that came with the Starfield Collector's Edition was a pile of old mints. But what are we expecting?
Wow,
we're not all Chris String. We're not all absolutely made.
I was just about to say we need Chris on here so he can show us his $4,000 Resident Evil.
The Discord were aghast at that story after me and Chris are going hammer and tongs over my 70 quid Game Boy trinket, dringles like that.
The difference
Let me tell you.
Your 70 quid Game Boy trinket is embarrassing. The watch is nice.
Alex, can you consider turning around and tell me what trinket's embarrassing?
But the watch is actually appreciated in value.
Yeah.
That's appreciated in value. The Game Boy box is
Nobody
more than
appreciates that. Nobody appreciates it.
Tell that to the people that are currently
Chris's
paying
children are going to be
for it, lad.
Chris's children are going to be taking that watch on Antiques Roadshow. Your children are going to be filing that Game Boy into landfill.
Well, if I ever find them, I'll let them know.
Taking that watch to the skip.
Finally, a couple of headlines before. This has been quite a depressing episode, so after these headlines, I've got a little game for the boys assembled. And no, it's not just because I think it will make a good social clip. I'm not that cynical. And finally, Starfield, speaking of, comes to PlayStation 5 on April 7th, finally on a proper console. Crimson Desert Studio Pearl Abyss sees share price plummet nearly 30% after the first reviews arrive. None of us have played it. I hear it's mint. months. Reinstated Subnautica 2 studio CEO says publisher Krafton self-servingly chose its release date without permission. And Netflix's live-action Assassin's Creed series has started filming as the cast is officially announced. And we have one of those cast members here. Andy Robinson, you're playing Ezio. Tell us about the project and how excited you are to get started.
I've not practiced a bit for that joke. I was going to say I'm playing as I'm one of the NPCs that I've just practiced pushing people out of the way. Right? Whenever I'm near anything, any war scenery or people, I'll just constantly be touching.
Just shoving
things out of the way.
Man, that was when games were games. When a magazine would get 3 pages out of the fact that you can sit on a bench and you'll blend in. Oh man, that was glory days. Indeed. Gentlemen, would you like to play a game just to make us happy here? This is...
As long as it's not a bloody Pokemon game.
Oh, you wouldn't play it anyway. You would play some shite to Shenmue instead. This is the name of the game. I'm going to read a series of clues pertaining to the name of a video game. All you have to do is guess which game it is. After each clue, you will each get 1 guess. You can register your guess by saying stop, at which point I will take your guess. 1 guess per clue. Are we all across the rules? Does anyone need anything clarified?
Stop.
1 guess
Alex
per
Kidd in
clue.
Miracle World.
1 guess per clue.
Right. Okay.
You can pass if the clues are a bit too difficult for you. This game was released on the PlayStation 3, the Xbox 360, and Microsoft Windows on February 7th, 2012 in North America. Any guesses off the bat there? February 7th, 2012 in North America.
2012.
Go. Alex Donaldson.
No, I didn't say stop.
Oh, Andy Robinson.
Do I just guess the game, yeah?
Guess the game, the name of the game.
Lost Planet 3.
Incorrect. You're frozen out for this clue. Chris and Alex, do you have a guess?
Stop. Crackdown 2.
Incorrect. Alex Donaldson, do you have a guess?
Stop. Street Fighter 4. Super Street Fighter 4.
Incorrect. This game is a first-person shooter based off a popular IP. An IP first-person shooter, what could it mean?
Stop.
Chris Scullion.
Was it the... Oh, it wasn't the GoldenEye remake.
I'm going to have to take that as your guess. I'm
No,
afraid you were frozen
I know.
out.
Oh, my guess is that it wasn't that, so therefore I'm correct and I win.
Alex Donaldson, stop Googling the answer, you absolute scumbag.
No, I'm looking at my shelf.
Looking at your watch.
I'm looking at my watch.
This is technically a clue, but it doesn't count. If you have a physical copy of the game, that's infinitely more embarrassing than my Game Boy box.
Okay, right. Okay, so
No, you're giving that clue now that I'm out.
Stop.
Andy
Alien
Robinson.
Colonial Marines.
Incorrect.
Oh, that's a good guess, though.
First-person shooter.
Have we got any more hints, or are you going to sit in silence?
Which one?
Alex Donaldson gets another guess.
Well, okay. When you say, well, I can't ask it. I can't ask any clarifying stuff, can I? So we're just going to say video game IP. Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Vegas.
Incorrect. Next clue. This game scored a 65 out of 100 on Metacritic, indicating mixed to average reception. Greg Miller, who of IGN rated it a 7 out of 10, called the game one-dimensional and straightforward, but felt aspects such as character customization and usable weapons were fine, and that it was overall a functional shooter. However, Jason Venter said it was a consistently thrilling experience that's easy to recommend. So it's
Stop.
Andy Robinson.
Was it Ghostbusters?
Incorrect.
Stop.
Alex Donaldson.
Was it Deadpool?
Incorrect. Chris Scullion.
I can't even think of any IPs that were FPSs. Stop. King Kong 2, Return of King Kong.
Incorrect. We have 2 clues left. Let me know in the Discord if you got this before our panel of so-called experts. although I think some of you might get this after this clue. This game was developed by Monolith Productions.
Okay, that's thrown me because I'm struggling to think. So does that mean it was published by Warner Brothers? Or was this before they owned them? Because I had a guess in mind and that was not it. So
just waste it. Just waste the guess. There's people screaming at their tellies. Dealbreaker J is just punched through his television.
It must have been an absolute shiter.
That was on the back of the box.
So they did Fear, right? And Condemned.
It's the IP thing. I can think of a million first-person shooters on the 360, but I can't think of that many licensed ones.
Remember, you have to say stop to register your guess.
I know. I'm trying to remember the name of it.
Chris Scullion's bleeding from the ears. He's so frustrated.
Probably wrong. Stop. Was it The Darkness 2?
Incorrect. You're frozen out.
But also that review, The Darkness 2 was good.
Yeah, but Craig doesn't know what he's talking about. Alex and Andy, you each have a guess before our final clue.
I've got an idea.
Is the final clue just the name of the game?
One of those. I don't know, but I'm just thinking connections. One of those fucking Harry Potter games was a first-person shooter. Was it a Harry Potter game?
Is that your guess?
Well, was it a Harry Potter game, yeah? Stop Harry Potter game? I don't know which one it would be.
Incorrect. Andy, you got anything before our final clue?
No.
Okay.
One of the Harry Potter games had a terrible... It was first-person shooter, and you could play it with the Kinect and do this to cast your spells.
To recount, it was released in 2012. It was developed by Monolith. It's a first-person shooter that got 65 on Metacritic, and it's based on an IP. Your final clue is that
these are not very good clues, are they? Came out in 2012.
Everyone's got this.
Yeah.
I'm afraid you lot are thick.
Hang on.
Had a single-player mode.
Use a controller.
I'm afraid you lot are thick. The developer should have been the answer because they don't make first-person shooters. They make games based on this IP, though. The IP
I was
is...
official Nintendo magazine at the time. You're giving me a non-Nintendo title. Go.
The IP is Batman.
Oh, stop. Gotham City Imposters.
Gotham City Imposters is the name of the game. Congratulations. You've never heard of Gotham City Imposters? That's
Gotham City Imposters.
That is...
It's like a multiplayer...
City Imposters. I've literally never heard of this game.
I've heard of it, but I immediately forgot it as soon as it got bad reviews.
Well, that's very much the point of the name of the game. It wouldn't be very good saying that this is a game based on Mario published by Nintendo for the GameCube, is it?
I've never heard of this game.
Sunshine. Stop Sunshine.
Thank you all for all at home for playing Name of the Game. Remember in the Discord to reaffirm the fact that was actually quite an easy one to get, and to...
It was not. What you going to do next?
You could have given me a clue. It's Gotham City, and I still wouldn't have got it.
I will.
I've got to be honest, I didn't even know.
Next week's one, the Owls of Ga'Hoole.
I didn't even know that was a first-person shooter. I thought it was a third-person.
I didn't either. I assumed that was third person.
I will concede that Chris was on a child's magazine at that point that didn't get badass games like Gotham City.
The magazine I was on, games only got.
What I want to know now is my guess. Was I in the right year? Because I was going to guess 007 Legends, which was that weird one they did where Daniel Craig did missions from other Bonds. Yeah, that was 2012. So I was on the right. That was the guess where when you
there was a lot of like shovel games out that year. That was like when almost in between gens, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a transition year. Yeah, we were just finding out any old piss.
Well, it's nice to continue the history of game shows being done on this website and on this podcast of people just shouting at each other when the answers don't go their way. Some bad losers. It's like the AFCON in here. Thank you very much for listening. Alex, have you got anything to promote at the minute? Oh, you do that little RPG site I've heard of?
If you visit RPG site, there's some pretty cool stuff going on at the minute. The guys are doing they have a bunch of previews of like really cool small indie RPGs from GDC. and are doing some really cool tests with the new Switch 2 Boost mode for Switch 1 game, where, for instance, there is the suggestion that, like, if you want the best results out of, like, Xenoblade X, you might want to uninstall the Switch 2 edition and play the Switch 1 edition handheld on your Switch 2 and crazy things like that, which is kind of cool. They're doing some really cool testing. So, yeah, RPG site, I'm AP Zone Runner on everything. That's it. And keep an eye out. Like I say, there'll be, I think people who, what we're working on, I think people who enjoy VGC will find, hopefully, when we're ready, what we do will be quite a nice, fit and complement with what you guys do. I hope. And, we need more good independent game sites, right, that aren't controlled by mass media arseholes. So I'm going to try and contribute to that.
Top 10 mass media arseholes. Andy, we had a stunning debut on Marathon the other night. More of that this weekend. We dropped into a couple of games. It's a very confusing game. I just don't know.
I just didn't know what was happening at any point.
At one point, a guy who was clearly about 30 hours above us trying to do some mission was stuck with us when we were running through these poison flowers. Our health is going lower and lower and lower. And we were shouting on him like, Paul, but it was called Paul Atreides. We're like, Paul, come and help us. And he immediately got killed.
Paul!
What are you up to this weekend, Andy?
I like more simple games like Pragmata. Which I played at Capcom last week. So it's a hands-on, and there's a video on our YouTube channel, right?
There's a video on the YouTube channel. That game looks simple. Really, really nice. The footage was beautiful.
It's a beautiful NVIDIA DLSS game.
Woo!
That wee that goes down on the small child. Yeah,
that wee lassie is going to look like Amanda Holden. I'm still not convinced that game's going to be very good, but I'm more interested in it now, having spoken to you about it and seen the footage. Other things this weekend that we can't talk about, but we will. Oh boy, we will. Chris Scullion, what are you up to this weekend?
I was going to play Marathon, but nobody's invited me to their game, so I'll probably just do my book and play a wee bit of a embargoed title as well. There's some first play videos getting recorded as well over the weekend.
GTA 6.
So yeah.
That's the one. Breaking news. If you'd like to waste more money, the Super Mario Galaxy movie toys are now available on the My Nintendo store. They have
just Mario. Chris's desk go over.
It went through the
Mario looks identical. I'll not be touching the Mario, but I'll be getting the other ones.
You'll get them all. You'll get absolutely all of them.
No, the Mario's exactly.
But it comes with Yellow Luma, everyone's favourite character. They'll never stop talking about Yellow Luma. Wonder Bowser Jr. 1949. My God. Super Mario Galaxy movie Hot Wheels.
Wonder Bowser. Wait a minute. Wait. Wonder Bowser Jr. So they adding wonder powers to the film.
Let me read the description here.
A wee plot point there. A wee plot spoiler.
Yeah, Chris, get this on the site, please. Breaking news. More to follow. The Wonder Bowser Jr. figure is inspired by the movie and comes with premium details, including 17 points of articulation. He comes with his paintbrush accessory, all showcased in window box. The release date is April 30th, so everyone get very excited for one.
These look absolutely terrible.
£20? How is that a £20? Like, if that was the £10 figure range, I know everything's expensive now, but £20? Come on, lads.
I'm excited for the Mario Lego to finally have normal minifigures. I was really, when I saw they teased that, I was like, finally. Did you, Jordan, see the leak of Eevee? Of the Eevee minifigure.
Who can say? I'm just saying that I'm very, very excited for it not being brick built anymore. It is.
It looks cute.
Yeah, I'm excited for. As Chris said, he's going to be normal. That is the kind of Lego I like, not the brick built characters. But yeah, head out to the shops and buy your.
That Rosalina figure looks horrendous.
She looks like she's been yassified.
Like Cilla Black.
Surprise, Mario.
If
it looked like Arcilla, I'd be buying it. Like
that's true.
He's a fireflower, ladies and gentlemen.
That's an interesting wee spoiler. Wonder Bowser.
I think you should have some of these as prizes at the live show.
I will
for something.
volley them into the crowd if you want at VGC Live. We should do, I was going to, in fact, this is in real time why we shouldn't do some of these things, but I was going to say we should do a contest of what's the weirdest thing someone will bring for us to sign, but it will be a human arse. It will be something horrific. So,
yeah, you don't want
no body parts.
From it. You do not want to do that. PC Gamer did a, when I was at Future, PC Gamer did a competition where you won like some expensive PC rig, and the competition was you had to scare them, like scare us.
Come on, no.
Some of the stuff that I think the winner just sent in photos of the team, like he'd just been following them around for weeks, like in the house and stuff.
That's class. Don't do that.
I assume that's like pre-Gamergate era.
Oh yeah.
Well, it's nice to got a fancy PC to keep them occupied in prison.
Yeah.
So that's always nice.
Well, it's been a wonderful time. It's been a wonderful podcast. Very, very, very cool things on the site next week. Basically, 3 out of the 5 days, there's something major happening. So come back to the website and check that out. But we can't really talk about anything other than that. Maybe we'll fill the other 2 days with some interesting content. Who can say? One of those days will
also
podcast.
An interview that I can't speak about yet, but in which I was royally roasted by the interviewee.
That's
well,
what I was.
which is worth a watch.
That's what I was referring to. I was hyping it up.
Well, that's one of the 3 then.
Well,
so.
there we go. One of the things that's spoiled. Any more spoilers for anyone?
I don't know who it was. I think for all we know, it was Molyneux.
Yeah.
Peter Molyneux just snapped. I'm going to tear this boy in your ass.
Why don't you shut up?
I'm going to beat your ass black and white, let me tell you.
It was the moment Molyneux finally snapped. Says everyone's been calling me a prick for decades, and this is the finally.
But you know who's really a prick, Chris? You.
Yeah.
Exactly. I've been watching your shit for years.
Do you know what really happened to Milo? You're going to find out.
Exactly. God rest the boy.
God rest him. God guess. Patreon.com/Video Games Chronicle for more podcasts, videos, and the inability to speak like I have. Ad-free browsing on the brand new redesigned VGC. And until next time, say goodbye, Alexander Donaldson.
Bye-bye.
Say goodbye, Andy.
Goodbye.
Say goodbye, Chris.
Goodbye, Chris.
I'm off to the shops to buy my Super Mario Galaxy Hot Wheels Mario Wheelie Motocross RC, and we'll see you next time. VGC is supported by Patreon. Check out patreon.com/Video Games Chronicle for more podcasts, ad-free browsing, and extra content. Thank you for your support.